Hello, welcome back. I haven't really been posting that much on this channel because I've kind of been trying to integrate some more book stuff onto my main channel. But this channel is definitely going to be at least where all of my wrap-ups are going to be, and maybe some of my other longer, more dedicated reading vlogs. But anyways, without any further ado, let's get into my reading wrap-up for the past 2 months, which would be July and August. I had a crazy good reading month in July, and I feel like for some reason every July I just read a lot. And then in August I kind of slump out a little bit, and I feel like I read a lot slower because I read so much the month before. This has been happening to me for the past few years. But anyway, let's just get right into it. Gotta pull up my good old trusty Storygraph. Every time that I open Storygraph and it's like popular this week and The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose is there, I'm just like, you saw my face. I physically cringed. Ugh. Anyway, it is officially the end of Ali Hazelwood's summer, but that's okay because guess what's just beginning? Ali Hazelwood Autumn, because she's coming out with 3 things throughout the rest of this year. Very exciting stuff. Anyways, let's go through what I read the past 2 months. 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. It is a kind of literary fiction with a focus on romance, and it takes place between 2 writers who knew each other and had a bit of a week-long whirlwind of a time in high school when they were both very much figuring themselves out, and then they meet 15 years later. They've been writing about each other the entire time during their whole careers. They're both like famous now and trying to see what's different between them or if the spark is still there. I think I ended up landing on a 4.25 rating for this one. I really enjoyed it. I thought that the story was told very well. It was very interesting, like finding out little pieces of the backstory, and I really liked the way that it was like interspersed in there, and I just enjoyed the book quite a lot. So yeah. Then I read If You Tell a Lie by Lucinda Berry. This was 4 different POVs, 2 different timelines, and a whole lot of absolutely what the is going on. I rated this 2.5 stars because I really did not like the way that it was constructed as a book and as a thriller. It did the thing at the very end of the book with the twist that actually pisses me off worse than anything else. So that was horrible, and also it was extremely triggering for any kind of like eating disorder issues. Like if you have any issue, I don't recommend the book anyway in general, but especially not if you have any kind of issue with eating disorders, because it was just, yeah, I really did not enjoy this book very much. 2.5 stars. Don't recommend. Then I finally finished the Ember and the Ashes series. I read A Sky Beyond the Storm. Actually, I ended up listening to it because the audiobooks of these are really good and they're really engaging for me to listen to when I'm at work. So I ended up finishing the series. This one made me cry multiple times. Openly, I was weeping while listening to this book on my lunch break in Bryant Park. And I ended up rating it 4.25 stars. I really, in general, overall, would highly recommend this series if you're into like dystopian fantasy vibe. It's young adult, it's a bit of romance, it's really interesting. It's a good story, and I definitely recommend the books. And then I read The Ministry of Time by Kellyanne Bradley. Oh, I hope I'm saying that correctly. I think I landed on a 4-star rating for this one. I really don't know how to feel about this book. I thought it was done well. I probably would have even given it 5 stars if she had just let the ending breathe a little bit. I feel like the book was so interesting. There were so many different facets of the book that were so interesting. I thought there was a certain like thing throughout the book that she did with this one character. There was these chapters in his point of view I felt were kind of unnecessary. and she could have better used that space to like give us a moment with the ending of the book, because at the end I felt like I got slapped and then someone like snapped my neck and gave me whiplash. It was crazy. I felt so frazzled. Like, it was crazy. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed with the end of the book. I just really wish she would have tied it up a little bit in a more satisfying way. But hey, in general, the story is really interesting. I would love a sequel or a prequel, honestly, or there's time travel in it, so like I don't really know what word to use, but like with more information about what's going on. That I would really like. And then the next book that I read was actually an ARC. It was Storybook Ending by Moira McDonald, and by the time that I actually ended up reading the book, it had been released. Unfortunately, I'm not doing so hot with the ARCs this year. I ended up rating this one at 2.75 stars because I thought that it was kind of boring. I guess part of my issue was that I thought that it might be a romance, and I was just kind of expecting that a little bit, but then it didn't end up becoming a romance, even though it had a lot of the facets of that, so the setup was kind of weird. So it's definitely technically just lit fic, but at the same time, I felt like the story didn't really go anywhere. Like, I really don't mind a no plot, just vibes kind of book if it's done really well, but this one to me was not done super well. The writing is fine. There was something about the plot and the characters that kind of just annoyed me the whole time that I was reading it. I felt like I was watching everything from like I'm outside and they're in like a fish tank, and I just felt really removed from the story in a way that I don't like to be when I'm reading a book and like really trying to immerse myself. It has nothing to do with the fact that it's like third person point of view, whatever. I don't mind that stuff. That does not take me out of a book. I can still cry and have a good time in third person point of view. I'm not one of those people that needs to read everything in first person. But like this book, something about it just felt a little bit too removed for me. Yeah, the story fell a little short for me, unfortunately. So the next book was What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall, and this is my first book by her. Definitely won't be my last. I rated this one 4 stars, which if you've been watching my channel for a while, you will know that like thrillers are very hard for me to like really enjoy. It's so funny because I love thrillers, but like I have really high standards when it comes to a thriller, so in order for me to rate a thriller 4 stars is like insane. And I thought that this one was just done really well. The beginning was like a little bit slow. I was kind of unsure about it, but then it just started picking up, and there were so many twists, like twists that I saw coming, twists that I didn't see coming, twists on the twists, and I thought that in general it was just done really well, and it was super engaging and kind of different than any other style of thriller that I've seen before, and I really enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend this one if you want a good thriller. And then the next book that I read was Pictures of You by Emma Gray. If I'm going to be totally honest, I only read this book because of the cover, and I'm not afraid to say it. I judged this book by the cover, and I'm not sorry about it. Because first of all, the main character loves One Direction. She goes to high school in a time where One Direction is popular. And if you know anything about me, you know that I love One Direction too. So I usually hate pop culture references in books, but I think she mentioned One Direction like 1 or 2 times, and I was like just floating on cloud 9. I was so excited. But anyways, I ended up rating this one 4.5 stars because I thought it was really interesting. It was like lit fic mixed with a romance mixed with thriller, and honestly, this is what Colleen Hoover wishes she could write. This book is what Colleen Hoover wishes her books were, because her books, Colleen Hoover, are trauma porn, insane plots with nutso people, and absolutely the reddest red flags of humans that you've ever seen in your life, and women with absolutely 0 shreds of a personality as the main character. Pictures of You was so interesting in my opinion. It's obviously very heavy and there's a lot going on. It's kind of like an exploration of this woman reclaiming her life after getting in a car accident with her husband, who she doesn't remember because she wakes up with like 10 years of her life out of her head. She's like, I think 26 or 29, but goes back and her only memories are when she was 16 and before, which is why One Direction is mentioned a couple times. So basically she has this horrible amnesia where she's forgotten her entire life back to the age of 16, and since then, like, her life has fallen apart basically, and she has no idea what's gone on. So definitely check the trigger warnings because it's pretty deep. There's a lot that goes on. It's very much about psychological abuse and coercive control and that kind of stuff. It can be hard to read at points. There's a lot going on, but just take care of yourself. If you're gonna read this book, like, be in a good place. Like, if you want to read a book about someone going through something difficult in a tasteful way, because this woman that wrote the book is working with her daughter who literally studies this in school, it's really good. And then there's like a mystery going on too. It feels like a thriller at the same time. It's a really good book. I enjoyed it a lot. I really did. I would highly recommend it. The next book that I read was The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, because it was Ali Hazelwood's summer and I needed to read her STEM girls novels because they're making a movie of The Love Hypothesis. They actually just wrapped on the film and we'll probably see it at some point next year, hopefully. I gave this one a 4.75. Borderline 5-star. Borderline 5-star romance. I don't know why. It's a very silly book. It is just the silliest time, but I loved it. I don't know why. I just loved it because I love Ali Hazelwood and I love everything that she writes. It is definitely one of those things where you either love Ali or you don't, and that's okay. I respect your opinion. If you don't, I'm just probably not going to take romance book recommendations from you because clearly our tastes are totally different, and that's okay. I love Ali Hazelwood, and reading almost her entire catalog now at this point has just confirmed that fact for me. So yeah, I really loved it. Then I finally finished Braiding Sweetgrass, which is a book that I'd been listening to for the past several months. I gave it 5 stars because it's incredible. It made me cry more times than I can even count. It's a fantastic book, and if you haven't read it or listened to it yet, I highly recommend. Robin Wall Kimmerer actually narrates it herself, and it was really good to hear all the correct pronunciations of all of the indigenous words that she was saying that are indigenous to her language and other different Native American languages. I definitely recommend this book to literally anyone. I just think it's like required reading for the entire human race, personally. Then I listened to Piranesi by Susanna Clark. It was our book club book for July, and I kind of had mixed feelings about it. I think I ended up landing on a 3.75 rating. I knocked it down from a 4 because there were just a couple of things that left a tiny bit to be desired for the book, just for me personally. I know other people really, really loved it, and I really was intrigued by the writing style, and I thought that the story was very interesting, but I think at the end of the day, it was like a skosh too cerebral for me, and I just wanted a tiny bit more from the world. I wanted like a little bit more plot, a little bit more explanation of like what was going on outside. I was just like ravenous for the crumbs that they were dropping in certain moments of the book, and I just wanted a tiny bit more from it. But if you're really into like very kind of like vibey books, I would definitely recommend this because it's an interesting one for sure. I wouldn't not recommend it, but I definitely would like mentally prepare yourself going in that it's not like very straightforward. It's super odd. It's like definitely one of the most interesting and different books that I've ever read. Next, I read Summer in the City by Alex Astor, and I rated this one originally a 3.75, but I think I'm actually gonna knock it down to a 3.5 because it was pretty mid, if I'm gonna be totally honest. Like, it kept me reading, it kept me interested because the like story between the two of them was interesting enough, but besides that, there was very little substance in the novel, and there was something at the end that really annoyed the hell out of me that was absolutely not necessary. There was just a couple of things about the main character that was kind of annoying and kind of like pick-me-ish vibes. Yeah, it was very much like turn your brain off and read a silly little fluff ass piece of romance, which if that's what you want, this book is totally what you're looking for. In my opinion, I've read much better romance in my day, so it's gonna get a 3.5 from me. Maybe even a 3. Yeah, sorry. Anyways, then the next book that I listened to was Two Can Play by Ali Hazelwood, none other than. This is her audiobook. It's like only an audiobook, and the thing about Ali Hazelwood and audiobooks for me is that for some reason the actors that they choose for her books kind of annoy me a little bit. I just feel like they read the books in a very different way than I read them and experience them in my head. Also, I'm not a huge fan of a novella, and this is technically like an audio novella because it's only like 4.5 hours long. I really didn't enjoy it that much. I think I'm gonna give it a 3. It was fine. It was just fine, but nothing to write home about. Genuinely nothing to write home about. I can barely remember the plot of the story. It's 2 game developers and like nothing happens and then something happens and then that's it. So that's gonna get a 3 from me. I love retroactively just adjusting the reviews. I'm just like, actually, la la la. Okay, anyways, next book that I read was Swordheart by T. Kingfisher. I love T. Kingfisher too. I can't wait to read her other books in this technically same world. I really enjoyed it. I rated it a 4.25. It's very funny. It's very sweet. It's very cute. It's very much like her other books. I definitely enjoyed it, or at least her other like fantasy romance books. And it's not romantasy. It's fantasy romance. There's a difference. I thought that her Paladin Saints of Steel series was better and funnier and more intriguing personally, but this one is definitely sweet and I liked it a lot. So next book that I read was Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. Wow, what a surprise. This one I rated also 4.25 stars. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cute. I love Rue and Eli. I can't believe that I didn't know that Problematic Summer Romance was the one that came after this, but honestly, it just felt like I was reading a prequel. It's totally fine. I don't know why people hate this book so much because I thought it was cute and sweet and I love Rue, so whatever. People can be haters, I don't care. Next book that I finished was Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, and I ended up giving this one 3.75 stars. I really did enjoy this book a lot. It was very well written. I thought it was kind of long, which is fine. You know, you're just in it for the long haul. I ended up listening to this one, and the narrator is very good, so I definitely recommend doing that, because it kind of just felt like this guy was telling you the story of his life, but it's kind of just like literary fiction, essentially, at the end of the day. It's based in Appalachia, which I love a book based in Appalachia because I find Appalachian life so interesting and so under talked about. It was definitely hard to read at certain points, and I can't even lie, part of the reason why I only rated it 3.75 stars is because it was so hard to read, like listen to at some points, that I had to like really slow down the pace in which I was absorbing it, and there were so many things that I was just like, can one thing go right in this man's life? Like seriously, well, not even man, like boy, because all this was happening to him as a child and like as a teen. It's hard. It was really well written and well done, but like hurt me to read at the same time. There were certain points where I was like, okay, I can stop listening to this and never pick it up again, but then I kind of just had to keep going. So I have very mixed feelings about it, but it was really good. Like, it was good, but it was also hard to listen to and read. And yes, it is inspired by David Copperfield, which is actually something that I never read, but I like vaguely know the story of it, and like to what I understand from that novel, it is very much the story of like this boy kind of getting beat up by life, and that's very much what's going on in this book. So just know that going in, I guess. The next book that I read was The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, and this book was very good. I ended up rating this with 4.5 stars. I loved the mystery of this book. It is like fantasy mystery, and he throws you right in the deep end with absolutely no hand holding. So for the first 50 pages, you are truly in the dark. You have no idea what's going on. And then the way that the world works finally starts clicking, and then you start thinking of theories And I figured out the mystery about 3/4 of the way through the book, so I'm really proud of that. It was a really fun time, and I like the way that he writes a mystery. He has really good twists, and like I was saying before, that is a huge plus to a writer if they're writing a mystery and it's really good and there's good twists. Love that. So I definitely recommend that book. I think there's also a second book, maybe even a third one coming out in that little world. Next book was Love on the Brain by none other than Ali Hazelwood, because like I said, it was Ali Hazelwood summer, okay? I was trying to get through all of her books. And I think actually by the end of this year, I will have read nearly every single one of her books that are published, which is a bit sick if you think about it. Okay, but that's fine because I love her, so it's okay. I ended up rating this one 4 stars. I thought it was like fine and cute and fun, but definitely not my favorite Ali Hazelwood. I found the female main character in this a little bit frustrating in a few different ways, but still sweet. And the male main character is very hard to root for the first 30% of the book probably, but it's very much classic Ali. This one's like the most sciencey, I think, out of all of them. I mean, I guess the entire plot essentially within the first 3.5 pages, because it's Ali Hazelwood and she's a predictable queen and we love that. But at the same time, I was just like, okay, like I know what's gonna happen. But also there was like some crazy thing that happened right at the end that I was not expecting at all. That was kind of insane. But anyways, it was a fun time. It was Ali Hazelwood. So yeah. Anyways, the last book that I'm going to be talking about is The Familiar by one of my other favorite authors, Leigh Bardugo. And I ended up giving this one a 3.5, okay? I feel very conflicted about this book because I thought that it was written really well. I thought it was really interesting. I liked the storyline, but at the same time, it didn't pull me in that much. I wasn't like, oh, at any point I could stop reading this book, but I was not like deep in the world. I don't know. There was something, you know how before with the Storybook Ending book, I said that I felt like I was watching everything from like, there was like a layer of glass and water between me and the story. This one just felt like there was like a veil. And like, sometimes that's kind of interesting, and I definitely think that that's the vibe that she was going for. But at the same time, I really do like to be a little bit more immersed. And I feel like she did that really well in her other books of hers that I've read. So this one definitely is by far her most like different book, but still good in its own right as a historical fiction fantasy book. I will tell you one thing though, there's no vampires in it. So I was wrong. It's a familiar, but it's not a familiar for a vampire. It's totally a different thing. So don't expect vampires, because I did and I was disappointed and sad. But that's okay. I wasn't that mad about it. I just was expecting vampires and I didn't get any, which is fine because Vamptember and Vamptober are just getting started. So don't you worry. There's gonna be plenty of vampire books coming your way real soon. Anyways, yeah, that's all of the books that I read. I am so excited for my September, October wrap up because it's just going to be the funnest, spookiest, vampire-iest thing you've ever seen in your life, and I'm just thrilled. I'm over the moon, thrilled, excited, amazed, just having the best time. This is my time to shine. This time of year is my time to shine. It's my favorite time of year to be a reader. It's my favorite time of year to just exist in the world. I'm so excited. Anyways, that's all for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, I'm just sending you all my love because we're all just trying our best out here, and yeah. So happy reading. See you next time. Love you so much. Goodbye.